guys, here we go. Fight Bananas podcast, UFC 50. Gerald, GM3 Meerschaert, how are you doing, my man?
I'm great, man. Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Always appreciate your time. Fight week, we know it's busy. I got two favorite, slogans in combat sports: trilogy and fight week. It's fight week for you. First of all, how are you feeling physically and mentally?
I feel good. Despite everything that's going on, the changes we made at Roufus Sport for the camps and everything, really think is going to benefit the whole team, and it's worked out so well for Anthony, and I'm hoping it does the same for me.
Right. I'm happy you kind of said that. That's one thing I definitely wanted to go in. I just listened to the Gaethje, Whitman, Rogan podcast, and a lot of it, when Rose Namajunas won, I feel like MMA and golf, right, is the most individual sport. It's you and another man in a cage. Joanna Whaley, two females in a cage, lock it up. But I don't think enough talk goes into camps and coaches and techniques and training. And you just mentioned Roufus. It's one of the best teams. You guys been one of the best teams for a decade straight. Can you talk on that? Can you, I heard that with Brandon Allen was maybe going to get this fight, and you guys kind of worked it out, kind of a thing. So how vital is it for you as an individual, as an MMA UFC fighter, to have a great team and coaching staff around you?
It's the most important thing. I didn't stay at Roufus Sport because it was close to where I grew up. I went there because I meshed well with the team, and I really believed in the techniques, and I was understanding what they were teaching, and I thought, if I want to be the best I can be, that's the place where I need to be. A lot of guys kind of just stay where they're comfortable or where they're familiar with, and again, for me, it just happened to be that it was really close to home. Right. I could have left and went to, not that anyone was trying to get me to go to their gym, but I could have left and went to ATT. I could have tried to travel and went to AK or any of these other places, and they're not bad gyms.
Right.
But for me personally, I feel like being in the Midwest, that blue collar work ethic, and honestly, it not being
saying, Gerald, that ATT wasn't a great fit for you.
Oh, no, not that it wasn't a great fit, because I haven't even, I was saying I could have went to those places to check it out, but I felt so at home at Roufus Sport already. Right. And, with the message and stuff. And honestly, it not being nice in Wisconsin all the time, I think is a big thing. We got that blue collar work ethic, not being in Florida or California. There's not really much to do more than half the year. So it kind of keeps your nose to the grindstone, as it were. And, once I retire, I can move to a nice warm place. But for now, I feel like this is where I need to be.
Wow, it's funny you say that. I'm located here, Daytona Beach, Florida. I do love the sun. The family loves the beach. And I do. I talk to a lot of ATT guys down there at Coconut Creek. And they usually, tell me that they do love the weather 12 months of the year. They can jog in January, and they feel like they can get out and run. But that's kind of funny. You kind of use it to the opposite. You're like, but maybe they're not in the gym. Maybe they are at the beach. Maybe they are drinking Coronas on the deck, looking at the river a little bit, when maybe you're in the gym grinding. So that is a good point. I'll take that. I like it.
Yeah, different strokes for everybody. I just prefer the cold.
A couple of weeks ago, UFC Jacksonville, and I'm a competitive guy. I love it. I got to win Monopoly. I beat my 8-year-old son, and I kind of dig at him. Hey, you should have bought Boardwalk. They had Anders and Holland both fighting on that fight. Of course, you guys are the best competitors, I think, on this planet, UFC fighters. When you watch them, do you want to be like, I kind of want to get that one back? I want to get those guys back. Do you have that, or is it just, hey, it's a fight, I move on, and I'm trying to win the next one?
The competitive side of me wants to get those back, but in the position I'm in right now, I'm fighting a ranked guy, so I'm kind of past that at this point. It's a big opportunity for me, and of course, I want to avenge all my losses if I can. Right. But Hermansson's still an option when I get a little bit farther. Santos has moved up, and to be honest, he's terrifying, so it's not like I'm eager for that one. And, for Anders and Holland just got a win after he lost to my teammate, Brendan Allen. Yep. For both of those guys, I still feel like I beat both those guys, if I'm being honest. I accept the loss. I'm not arguing that. But if, I'm being true to myself and not lying to everybody. I feel like I won. So part of me is over it for that reason. But again, I'm fighting the guy that's ranked number 13. I have a chance to propel myself upward. I've said it in multiple interviews. I'm not going to be the guy that, once I win this is like, oh, I'm only fighting people ranked above me yet. Like, I haven't earned that right yet. Some guys have. I don't think I have if I just cracked that number right now. So
Right.
if I got that rematch, I'd be fine. But at this point, if I got this fight in front of me, those fights don't really benefit me after the fact.
No, makes perfect sense. Really does. And you're talking about UFC 250 this week, Saturday, Apex Center, Las Vegas versus Ian Heinisch. Yeah, it is. It's a vital fight. He had a huge buzz around his name 10 months ago. He was one of those guys that, could be Shabazian, a title contender. And now with 2 losses in a row, this is a vital fight. I love this fight for the division. It seems like winner of you guys really takes that next step. Top 10 and bigger fights. Like you said, Hermanson was a great name that you just said. That's probably maybe next for the winner of this fight. So are you with me on that one? How vital this fight is for both of your careers?
I think so. And actually, our fight is not this Saturday, next Saturday, June 6th.
Right,
so
right.
We're still really close. But, and I mentioned Hermanson because I actually do have a loss to him. And he's, propelled himself pretty quickly during that run. So I'd like to get that one back, and I feel like that would put me in a step in the right direction. And, for sure, I got a lot of hype off my last fight. For some reason, everyone seemed to really enjoy the banter we had back and forth, and the fight was exciting. He rocked me at one point. I rocked him, more than a couple times, hit him with some hard body shots. So people enjoyed the fight. And I think it's going to bring a lot of life to the guys that aren't in the top 10 for the middleweight division and show that there's still some exciting guys and fighters because at the top, Whitaker until it's supposed to be happening, but they're out of the country, so they got to go to Fight Island, and there's, a bunch of guys. Paulo Costa's still hurt as far as I know, so there's a lot of, everything's kind of clogged up at the top, so we got to make the lower tier exciting.
And one really thing, super excited about your fight as well. You said the banter was great. The fight was great. The stand-up, the transitions, all that. But with Daniel Cormier kind of being on the mic and having that really close connection with Deron Winn, it kind of just brought more life to the fight. I don't know how many times you've watched it or listened to it. It brought a lot of life as a fan and as someone in the MMA media. That fight was one of the spotlight fights of that card. So it was interesting to have DC on the mic with his kind of protege tap it out,
Yeah, no, and I saw some mixed reviews about his commentating during the fight, and honestly, I didn't hear anything while I was in the fight from him, and I watched it after a couple times, more so to see the mistakes I made, because, again, he did crack me one time pretty good. But when I was listening to his commentary, I didn't think it was that biased. I didn't think he was, I think, if anything, he was going out of his way to give me credit because he probably felt like if he didn't, it would seem biased. So I thought he was pretty fair, and, I was in agreement with everything he was saying, so I had no problem with it.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, too, because always in a March Madness of basketball or football, when you lose, you want to lose to the potential, hopefully, champion. Like, oh, the champion knocked me out. It's fine. So I felt that, too. Like, DC was giving you a ton of credit. Well, one, you deserved a ton of credit that night. You looked phenomenal, I thought. But he was kind of giving you, like, yeah, Gerald's beat him on this spot. He was definitely longer, and he was just working it. But, okay, so pro since 2007. We're in 2020. We're out of a global pandemic, been around the game for a while. And I was looking back at some of the middleweights. We actually just had Chris Lieben on the show a week or two ago, Rich Franklin. Now, you mentioned Style Bender and Costa and Santos, who was here, a while ago. Now he's in light heavyweight. The evolution of maybe any division in all of MMA, to me, has changed the most, has been the middleweights. It's just a, absolute, from 207 to now, just two totally different planets. And you've been around it the whole time. Do you feel it, see it? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, especially middleweights is interesting because, the light heavyweights, it seems to be more predicated on knocking guys out. Like, even Cormier was a big wrestler, but even when he was the champ, a lot of it has to do with his power in his hands to be able to, like, threaten people to stop him. Obviously Jones mixed it up well, but traditionally especially in his title runs, it seems that he uses his striking and his grappling more to complement his striking or his grappling off his strikes. But for middleweights, it's like, man, when I think the first UFC middleweight champ was Murilo Bustamante, big jiu-jitsu guy. He was decently well-rounded. And then we had guys like Rich Franklin, who, again, well-rounded, but the striking wasn't there. It was pretty basic striking, and he got,
Right.
that was made evident with Anderson Silva. And then Chael Sonnen didn't win, but he showed how, very simplistic, sticking to the basics boxing mixed with wrestling can work.
Sure.
And then we had Wyman come up and Luke Rockhold that was back and forth for a while. Bisping won the title as another, a guy that I kind of look up to because it's in a similar boat. Like neither of us, maybe for a little bit he was, but for a long time, not the blue chip prospect. No one's really thinking he's just a tough guy. He just keeps his, head down, keeps working, and he ends up getting that chance. And then we're back to striker with style bender. So there's not too many grapplers, like true grapplers in the middleweight division, other than me right now that Maya's gone back down to 170.
Right. No, great points. I loved how you said Bisping. I would love to kind of hit on that. It's LeBron James. I love all sports, right? And I always love, the draft picks and usually first round guys, they kind of go up the ranks, right? MMA is so different. Like you said, guys like Bisping, even I'll throw out Masvidal, who was the fighter of 2019, a little bit of a journeyman there for 3-4 years, 13 losses, and all of a sudden things pop. Like you said, your fight for some reason, the before with Win, a lot of great banter. The fight was phenomenal. DC action back and forth. Like, boom, your name got a lot of buzz right away from that card. Now you're on a huge UFC 250, Amanda Nunes, Spencer in the main event. It's that quick in MMA. I love it. In 10 months, the face can change each division. And you just never know what's going to happen in a year and a half, and see where your name's at. So Bisping to me is a great, like you said, someone to look up to. Like, you just never know. Like, it could be a GM3 Bobby Whittaker, title fight in 10 months. You never know.
Right. Well, and that's the beautiful thing about MMA. Like, we're still kind of getting over the whole, like in boxing or even in wrestling, it's a little bit different in wrestling because you don't get to pick your opponents, but there's just so much competition all the time, and guys have been training so long. The better guys aren't going to have that many losses. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of competition, so the records are bigger, but again, it's going to be small amount of losses. You figure out who's good right away. Sure. Boxing, it's still so predicated on being undefeated or only having 1 or 2 losses. But in boxing, you get to pick your opponents a lot more. You
pay
get to
for
fight.
Them.
Right, you get to fight nothing but cans or like okay journeyman all the way to the top until you're 20-0 or whatever. In MMA, we don't have that luxury. You're basically fighting who you fight, and especially when you get to the UFC, it's the one nice thing about being under one banner. They're like, hey, I don't care what your record is. We're going to find out if you're tough or not. Right. So people are starting to learn that, especially in MMA, just because the numbers on paper, the statistics and stuff like that doesn't, exactly match up to what's going to happen. You can have double-digit losses and still improve if you keep working and keep getting better. And like I said, I've got 12 or whatever losses, I forget what the number is, but I also got a lot of wins. And if I keep getting better and better, like you look at my UFC record, I'm like 6-4 right now. 2 of those losses, were definite finishes where I got I got my butt kicked, and then 2 of them were kind of controversial. But even since then, I'm improving every single fight. So it's a thing that I really love about their sport. It really holds true to the old adage, like it doesn't matter, the record doesn't matter, the numbers don't matter, it's how bad you want it.
Sure, absolutely. UFC 250, I love the main event. Huge fan. Felicia here in Orlando comes on the show often. Big fan of her. Kind of watched all the come up. Amanda Nunes, not arguably the greatest female fighter of all time. Great main event. Is there another fight on the card that interests you that's like, okay, I got to make sure I watch that. I peek through the Apex Center, make sure I watch that fight. Sugar Shane O'Malley's on the card. Sanhagen Sterling, great bantamweight fight. Is there anything else that is catching your eye?
Chase Hooper is fighting Alex Karalexis. I like that kid. I think he's funny. I'm interested to see how he does because, Karalexis likes to strike more, and Hooper's a grappler, and it kind of reminds me of myself when I first started, just a lanky kid that wants to choke people. But he's long enough that he can negate that striking. So I want to see that fight, and I'm really looking forward to Sterling and Cody because they're both really good guys.
Yeah.
I've personally talked to Sanhagen. I went on his podcast with him. Really cool dude. I've seen Aljamain before. I like him a lot too. They're both really high-level fighters. On paper, I guess, yeah, I've never trained with either of them, but you would think that Aljamain has a little bit of an edge on the ground, and I would think that Sandhagen has a little bit of an edge on the feet, but
Sure.
they're, Cody's a little bit lankier, but Aljamain uses distance well. It's kind of a pick 'em fight, and I'm really excited to see how that one goes down.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. And that has to be a number one contender for the bantamweight division. Looks like they're just creating Jan versus Aldo for the vacant title. So I love that matchup. I love it. To me, new blood. Both of those guys are very deserving. New blood. One of those will be, soon bantamweight and the title contender. And back to Chase Hooper. Oh, my goodness. We love Chase Hooper. Same thing. Been on the show 4 or 5 times. I do a lot here in Florida, and he fought for Island Fights on the UFC Fight Pass banner, and Hooper fought on Titan FC. The kid's a stud. He's really good on social media. He does a lot for UFC Fight Pass, so I think the UFC likes him a lot. He's the main event of the prelims. So I'm super pumped. But Gerald, really excited for you personally in your career. Can't wait. I talked to Brandon Allen a little bit ago, and he had nothing but the best things to say about you too. Love the gym, Biggie Rhodes. I love me some Biggie. So I love the gym there, and continued success. Oh, last thing before I let you go, and I let you hit sponsors and all that. I just saw on your social media, and I love fighting, family. I never really want to bring up religion or race. It's just things I stay away from. But I saw that you kind of got on the mayor of Mississippi and telling him like, hey, I'm the guy who can really choke and all that. If you do want to hit on it, cool. If not, I totally understand too. But it was just, it's pretty absurd that he said that. It's just mind blowing,
Yeah, man. I really can't comprehend how anybody would watch that video or see that circumstance and question at all how that's just not a disgusting, terrible act. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people in law enforcement. I've talked to them numerous times about, similar instances, and I get it. It's a really tough job. You almost have to go to work every day assuming someone's going to kill you, but there's a difference between that, doing your job right, and pinning down a defenseless man, putting your knee in his neck on his carotid artery, and cutting off the circulation of blood to his brain and killing him. And not just that, but it's like, man, I consider some of my teammates brothers, and I got to worry about my guys that, maybe they can't get to the gym right now. One of them, one of my guys, JP and Biggie, is actually living at my duplex, and I got to worry that they might not come back when they go out for a run. Like everyone, because right now, if I'm being 100% transparent, I'm just talking about it on social media because I'm focusing for a fight. I got other things going on. I don't know what I could do right now. I signed a petition online for someone to reach out to the DA to do that. I'm open to suggestions, but it's like at a certain point, you got to start saying something. And, especially people that look like me, because I got a lot of people that follow me on social media and look like me that might have opposite views, or maybe they just don't have exposure to people that don't look like them. I'm very fortunate in that, fighting, it's all different creeds and colors. And, I'm one of 3 or 4 white guys in the gym that's training at any point in time. So it's pretty diverse, which I love. Sure. And, like I said, those guys are my brothers. Stop killing my brothers. There's no reason for that. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, maybe if people would stop getting so butthurt about the kneeling and pay attention to what the reason is, if you see something like this, then stuff like this wouldn't happen, and we could have a different conversation and move forward as a society.
Right. I'm so with you. It's, I got 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, and you teach them right and wrong. Like, forget race and religion and, what kind of sex and all that. I tell my kids, I teach them good values. You do good things happen. Like, that was just not a good value. Like, I don't care, what happened before or after and who it is and all that stuff. And for the mayor of Mississippi, and kind of call him out a little bit, for him, he has a bigger platform and he's got, I don't want to say power, but, he's at a higher standard. It's just, I don't understand how you can just watch that video and say what you said. It's mind blowing to me. It's absurd. It is.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah, man, dude, I would love to have you on, like you said, maybe another time. We can literally dive all into it. I would love, hey, we'll get Biggie on the roads. Like I said, he was down there for Dean Tool Promotions show when Pettis went down there and rolled with Masvidal like last summer. And so we hung out with him all weekend. Love the guy. I love me some Biggie. But, man, can't wait for your fight. Saturday, June 6th, UFC 250. Big fight, you and Ian. Can't wait, my man. Like I said, sponsors, social media plugs, anything you want. Floor is yours.
Hey, shout out to all my teammates at the gym, Combat Corner. They helped me out getting some gear, too. They've always been a long-time sponsor during this stuff so I can get some bags and start working out. I'm on social media. If you try and Google my name, get close enough, I'm sure it'll pop up and you'll find me.
GM3, Gerald Meerschaert. Thank you, my man. Continued success, good skill Saturday, June 6th, and we'll talk to you real soon, brother.
That sounds good, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.